What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeiro Zone for another daily news update. And Allegri spoke. Allegri spoke during the international break, and he had quite some interesting things to say. Basically, also saying, "I'm hitting all my goals. I'm doing what I was asked to do." Izzy, we will talk about that. Then he also had something to say on Yildiz slash the other youngsters. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Before we get into it, push the like button, hit the like button now. Let's get to at least 90. Push the like button to 90. Subscribe to the channel, close to 5K. Hit that bell notification, and let's see what Allegri had to say. Okay, so international break, which is good, for once. I love the international break for once. But Allegri spoke, and he spoke to the Athletic, and he was asked about mainly about the new project or like the new footballing world, especially for Juve, Champions League. Then he was asked about himself and also the youngsters because that's the new footballing world for a lot of teams and especially Juve. But let's start with what he had to say about himself first because that's what I want to get in mainly, and then I will move on to the other points. Um, so he said, when I returned, I was asked to rejuvenate the team. The goal was to bring out 3 next-gen players every year, reduce salary costs, and make the team sustainable while remaining competitive. Now, you can look at this and you say he hit the goals, because yes, there are next-gen players into the team. The salary has reduced, the wage bill has been reduced. Excuse me. Are we sustainable? Almost, but we need Champions League money and remain competitive. You can say, well, with the team we have, top 4 is competitive. However, it's not. This is not competitive. Like, let's be 100% clear. If you finish 1,000 points behind whoever is top, you're not competitive at all, one bit. You're just going through the motions. That's what you're going to do. Improve, he doesn't say we needed to improve. He says sustainable, but sustainable can mean sustainable financially. Because sustainable, we are not as a team right now. There's nothing sustainable that we have done in the last 3 years on the pitch. That's also, and the only, probably, for me, focal point, where I'm like, okay, your time is up. Because nothing in these last 3 years has been sustainable. Like absolutely nothing. We don't defend good. We have good moments where we defend, but that means we sit back extremely as a team. We cannot build up play. We're not good on the counter attack. It's not that we play aggressively with our wingers. We have nothing that's sustainable. And you can go on and on. We cannot keep possession. Excuse me. Like we cannot do anything good at all. We do a lot of things poorly, but we do nothing good. And that's for 3 years now. So is it sustainable? No, not at all. Is it competitive? No, it's not competitive. Just getting top 4 is going through the motions because you should be getting top 4. You have a better squad than the other teams behind you. And people might say that's not true. It's true. You do have a better squad than Bologna, Roma, Atalanta, you name it, Fiorentina, Lazio. Like you have a better squad than these teams. So is it competitive? No, it's not competitive. You're just doing whatever. You're going through the motions, finishing 1,000 points behind. There's nothing competitive at all about that. That needs to be said. So he might say, and what he's not saying literally, I'm reaching my goals, but that's what he's insinuating at. That's what he's referring to, basically. Hey, the club asked me to do this, and well, look at the team. I have next-gen players in there. Refuses to mention that only these next-gen players play when it's desperation mode or we have a lot of injuries. Because none of these players are really progressing. None of these players, or some of them, are not really playing in their position consistently. On top of that, even older players are not playing in position, in their position. So a lot of things he's trying to say, but they're not really true. Like they're not really true. The wage bill has been reduce. But that's also the club's doing. Getting rid of players and all those things. So that's what he wanted to say to actually begin the interview with. However, he talked about youngsters and he said something as well on Yildiz, which was very, very uh, interesting. And then he also said something about the past, what I want to go back to on. But first he said, this year, many young players are in the first team. Many of our boys plays for other teams in Serie A. The club has done an excellent job. To be sustainable, Italian football must follow this path. Difficult moments happen. All young players go through this. Miretti and Fagioli experienced it. Yildiz will also overcome it. Young players have ups and downs. They don't reach maturity until they're 26, 25. The peak of a player hasn't changed. It's said that between 26 and 30 years old, the best age, because at that point you have accumulated a lot of experience, matured, and improved. It was the same 40 years ago. That's what he said. I tend to agree with, you peak between that age. I do agree with that. That's nothing I think really wrong, because I do think that's a fact. At that point, you should be at your absolute best as a player, in my opinion. Maybe not as a goalie, because a goalie can peak a bit later, in my opinion. However, for a midfielder or just an attacker, I do agree with that. That's your peak time, But I want to go back to the mid part of his comment. He said Yildiz will overcome the difficult moment. I might have missed something, but what happened? What happened besides the fact that you benched him ahead of that Inter game when he was playing very well, and after that he kind of moved away? Like, he gets garbage time minutes, isn't really playing, isn't really starting. What has changed? The difficult moment has been created by you. It has been. And I appreciate a lot of people trying to make excuses now, saying, oh, but he's trying to protect him. He's young. You will slate him if he doesn't do well. Absolute lie. Like, how many times have we come on this channel and say, he will make mistakes, but that's okay. Just trust him. He will make mistakes, but he will learn from that. Trust him. That's what I have always said, and a lot of people on this channel who came on, just trust him. He will make mistakes because he's young and unexperienced, but he will learn from that while playing. Somebody needs to tell me, what did he do wrong ahead of that moment, that Empoli game? And Allegri is referring to it now as he will overcome it. What will he overcome? I don't know. Like, what happened besides the fact that you got angry in the presser and called out a game that happened a week before away to Verona, saying he wasn't that good in that game, which was a lie, by the way. But after the game, you were quiet. You only spoke about it when people were questioning you about that decision to play Milik ahead of a big game and ahead of creating just chemistry in the team and let Yildiz carry on. The difficult moment that has been created by you. Again, I appreciate a lot of people now trying to say, but he wasn't playing well. He only had 1 goal and 1 assist or whatsoever. Okay, but the other players are playing. They're scoring a lot of goals. I don't like with Yildiz. It wasn't even about goals. The role he was playing and what he was asked to do, it wasn't about goals. It wasn't about goals at all. He was just playing very well. And the difficult moment has been created by you, by nobody else, just by you. So when he said that, I was like, weird. I might have missed something because I'm not sure what difficult moment he's talking about right here, right now. Because I cannot recall one difficult moment at all where I'm like, man, he needs to overcome that. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I'm not really sure what he's talking about, because up to that Empoli game, everything was fine. Nobody, not a single person, pro Allegri, anti Allegri, whatever, Allegri in, Allegri out, was going into that Empoli game and was like, maybe we should be benching Yildiz because he's not playing well. Nobody. But the moment he decided to bench him, it all flipped, and actually it wasn't that fantastic and you should protect him. Like, bullshit. People will take anything, eat it up, and forget about what actually happened. And you're like, you know what? Maybe he's right. He wasn't playing that well. Let's go with that. Absolutely rubbish. And it's been mismanaged. It's been mismanaged. It is. Because now you have Chiesa not performing, you have Vlahovic losing your head, and you feel this coming off the bench. So who won? Nobody. Who lost? Juve. That's what happened. However, he still had this to say. He said, we need to understand that the 9 consecutive Serie A titles were extraordinary. It won't happen again in Serie A. Juve has won it at most twice consecutively. The 9 in a row distorted perceptions because reality is different. Now, I agree. Winning 9 in a row, we will never see it again. It's ridiculous. That when I remember when we were winning and people were like, "Oh, I'm sick and tired of it." I'm like, I'm not never gonna get sick and tired of it, of a scudetto. You can be sick and tired of how we did in Europe, but you still take that scudetto. 9 in a row is insane. That's probably the best period as a Juve fan ever. Like, you were just winning and it was fun. It was like enjoyment, especially the first couple. It was like wow. And then because in the Champions League it got a bit like outshadowed a little bit. However, it's ridiculous. It was fantastic, and I agree. It's not normal. Like, usually you win 1-2 and then Inter wins it, and then you go back and Milan wins. Like, that's how it usually goes. And fine, I like that. That's how the normality should be in terms of competitiveness in the league. But we dominated, and I know that's not realistic. I don't think anyone thinks that's realistic. So I do agree with that, but I don't think anyone is holding that against him now. Like, we're talking about 4 years not winning, 3 years with him. We're talking about no improvement. It's not about winning titles. Again, the narrative changed to, oh, but he was never going to win this season. Nobody was asking him to do that. Oh, but he doesn't have, in the past we have Baggio, Zidane, Platini who can beat this man. I'm like, you want to say these things after we didn't beat Genoa? 1 win out of 8. You want to talk about Zidane and Platini? Like, are we very serious right now? We don't have an attacking midfielder. Does anyone know the attacking midfielder from Udinese who's playing now? Not Samardzic. Empoli, Verona, Genoa. Do you want all those players? Like, a lot of excuses for things nobody said about winning. It was just improvement, and there has been no improvement. He says he's reaching his goals. Is he? Are we competitive? Is it sustainable? I completely disagree. Does the squad need work? 100%, no matter who the coach is. Again, however, this 3 years in, it's not a good job. It really is not a good job. I'm sorry, and if this was happening to Inter, we will be laughing our asses off. Like, let's be completely honest. We will be like, oh, this is ridiculous. But to be honest, yeah, I'm not sure how they're keeping Allegri in a job. We will be doing that. We did it with so many coaches of our rivals. We will be laughing and we're like, no idea how they're keeping them in a job, but hey, good. But that's it. That's what he had to say during the international break. We thought we had a 2 weeks clean slate. No interviews from players and coaches on this, but boom, they're all coming out, and here we are. And apparently he thinks he's reaching his goals. But let me know in the comments what you think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit that bell notification, and I will see you guys back Friday for a live show.